Hey people, welcome back for another episode of The Jagged Edge. This is Ian here along with Chris.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's going on? We're starting that fall season ramp up again for TV, for movies. Coming off a bit of a hiatus, it feels like, man, what was it? The last time we were in theaters was for Atomic Blonde, right?
No, it was Dark Tower.
They were around the same time, weren't they?
Yeah, that was later summer.
Yeah,
but yeah, Dark
that's right.
Tower was the last one, and so that's not the best note we've left that on.
No.
Yeah, it's still, a lot of people run that movie down. I thought it was okay, but I'm not a fan of the books, so
Right.
My context to what it is versus maybe what it should have been is completely off. But we'll talk about that because next week we're going to go see Blade Runner 2049. We're going to review that, and we got some news about that this week. But yeah, we were talking about the show. I'm like, Star Trek and Inhumans came out like in the last week, and next week The Gifted comes out.
Yep.
And not that it matters because we know they all die anyways. But and I'm not going to let that go. I love the ad for it where it says, part of the X-Men universe. It's like, oh, you mean the X-Men universe where everyone's going to be dead in the next couple of years? Or
yeah,
which one is it?
Because it's going on. It's looking kind of bleak. Just saying.
Why even say that? Why? I mean, they.
Usually if you refer to a universe, you're saying, hey, this is based on X, you want to initiate some hype. Someone said, hey, this is set at this part of New York in the MCU. Okay, awesome. Because who else is around.
They should just, in that ad, they should, when it pops up on the screen, part of the X-Men universe, they should just show that final scene where Wolverine dies. Is part of the X-Men universe where he dies right there. Because everybody's dead.
I mean, pretty much what's left. I mean, besides, randoms we might not know about, Kid Mutants. Is that it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's them, yeah. But actually there's probably, what year does that take place in? 2027?
Something like that.
2029. So there's enough time to have a 7-year run for a TV show, and then they can all die. Sure.
Why not?
I'm running down on how they've taken care of this X-Men universe as a whole, but The Gifted actually looks fairly good. But yeah, so Inhumans came out, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, let's get right into it. Star Trek Discovery. We ran our mouths on this when the trailer came out.
Yeah, we did.
We did, and deservingly so for that trailer. But now you're the bigger Star Trek fan, so I'm gonna let you take the lead on this.
Sure. From the first sort of hello episode, I kind of even dug the title, and I was really curious where they were going to base this, and how this was going to really fall into storyline. Now I'm instantly coming into this with kind of like a Rogue One perspective. Rogue One was able to produce a modern piece that took place before the original Star Wars, and it's kind of tough because you got more technology now to do greater effects, but you don't want to step so far outside of where things were supposed to be at that time, or else you kind of break continuity in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple of things to say about that.
Which, that actually, leads into. I'm sure that's going to be part of our discussion here. But, looking at this one, having it based off Klingons, I'm cool with that. I love Klingons. And going back to the whole war was initiated to start with the Federation to hopefully unite everyone there.
Okay, so should we just say spoilers? Are we just going to do spoilers on this? It's just a pilot, by the way. We're not going to do the whole season, obviously. Just the first two islands, the first two episodes of pilots came out.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's sort of the part of the setting that you come into this with, and mind you, it ties a little bit into the look. A lot of the choreography is not the term for it. A lot of the costuming, the look of some of the Klingon. I think what was that? Chris Obi was Takuma. I thought he looked awesome, and maybe a little too awesome for the time because I'm thinking back to the way we remember Klingons in old school Star Trek. But one thing that's always been strong about this series that I was really looking for is how do the characters interplay? What makes the main character you want to follow that character? For me, Picard was always my favorite captain. He was one of my favorite characters to follow. I thought he was multidimensional, and he had a lot of cool story arcs, from becoming a Borg, from being tormented by Q. Obviously, we don't know all of that yet, but there was an interesting leap here with the Michael. In the whole mutiny deal. It's a risk, if you ask me, to just sort of put viewers on a weird base about one of the main characters you're following, and where they actually stand. This is something I'd expect like 2 or 3 seasons in for a Star Trek, and I don't really know where that'll go yet. But that kind of surprised me. I guess the other surprise I had was I was asking myself, where the heck's the ship? The Discovery itself. One of the main things about a Star Trek series is the Enterprise or the Voyager or whatever else. Boom, there it is. That's the first thing you're focusing on. You're talking about the crew settling in for this huge voyage. But there's not really much of that here. I mean, you could argue the intro, okay, but I found that kind of weird. Normally, whatever the ship was christened as plays a much, much bigger role. And going along with that, we had a lot of long scenes with the Klingons and whatnot. I expected a little bit more focus on the crew, stuff like that. So, I don't know, but not as bad as I thought. There's not quite.
That's gonna be the title for this week's show. Not as bad as we thought, but that's actually not going to be true for this entire show. So,
no. Definitely not.
We have Inhumans to talk about yet.
Yeah, yeah, we'll wait for that. But, yeah, I think it bases itself. The setup's interesting enough for character-wise. When I'm coming away from this questioning is sort of the continuity breaking. I was saying this at the start. I almost feel this is so stylized. It's really weird in my mind placing this behind the days of James T. Kirk. And everything. This feels like I'm watching some kind of alternate timeline, not necessarily as much of a look at the past. And I think this is where you could probably take a page from Rogue One.
Right. Okay. So two of my biggest complaints right off the bat, because I think I had the notes to talk about the positives first, but you're all over my negatives here. Okay. So the Klingons looked stupid. I'm not a fan of how they've changed this, how they're all bald, and which is the big thing, because the hair for the Klingons are kind of a big deal. At least they had been for the last 20 years, 25 years,
right?
In how they were portrayed. I don't like that they're bald.
Right.
I like the lore. I like the lore with them, but I did not like the look. It's all a little bit over stylized. It all looks a bit too primitive.
Right.
I don't like that. Overall, I would have maybe not evolved so much from how we'd last seen them, or changed it as much. This is a reoccurring theme in Star Trek, though. I remember the first time I saw a Klingon in the original Star Trek show, and I remember watching it, and they're like, "There's a Klingon," and I'm like, "Where? I can't. I can't tell. I can't tell it's a frickin' Klingon because of how they looked, which has actually been mocked in the past. In the Next Generation, where Worf's like, they're talking about some time period around that time, where it's like we don't talk about those dark days and such, because they looked so stupid. No, we're not looking for a whole lot of consistency here. This takes place 10 years before the original Star Trek show in the Prime universe. Right. Whatever. Minor gripe. I'm not really happy with it. Major gripe. What you were talking about as far as technology.
Yeah.
Way off. Way off. All right. I'm gonna put my nerd hat on for just a minute on this. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I really enjoy Star Trek, but I'm not an avid fan like I am with Star Wars.
Right.
But even I, as a casual, as a big sci-fi fan, but a casual Star Trek fan, even I know there weren't holograms.
Right.
Even I know that's garbage. And when you're talking about something that comes just 10 years before the original show,
Yeah.
And there's obviously a major discrepancy between the TV show and the original TV show and the movies. Not too much, but there is definitely some, and that has to do with production value. But it's like you're not even trying to line this up. The ships look on par. The outside of the ships look on par, which is good. The I didn't like the bridge of that initial ship they were on anyways. I forget the name of it, which doesn't matter because it got blown the fuck up.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the same gripes, at least initially, is like, well, we're not really getting to know any of the cast. I knew one of the things going in was that the lead was going to be a first officer. I knew that, and for the first time we weren't going to follow a captain as the lead, and that's basically because there's going to be a lot of conflict with the captain. Rumors had been around that basically the captain that she's going to work under is going to be a dick, and that's fine. Although you obviously didn't see that here. Really like this captain,
Right.
What little we got to know of the crew, but it doesn't take you too long to realize, okay, we're not following this group. We're not following this crew. This pilot, these 2 episodes, aren't setting us up for the character pieces that we're used to.
Right.
This is setting us up for following the Klingon War.
Right.
And the start of the war. That's where most of I'm okay with that, depending on how they do it. Wait, I mean, how long did it take for you to figure that out?
Oh, not two. I mean, it's especially for looking back at Star Trek lore, and then like the length of some of these scenes, and taking a close look at what they were trying to orchestrate. I mean, this was a pretty central part of what the Federation always talked about. So
I mean, I didn't know that the show was going to be about the Klingon War. I don't know how much they even advertised that or how much people really figured it out. I mean, did you know that going in?
No.
Just because we're set in time?
Not. I mean, there's a lot of the tough thing about Star Trek is there's usually always some simultaneous events happening. So there's many places you could base things, or even tell the audience something that might not quite be on our radar, or a side story that kind of faded in obscurity. But no, going into this, I had no idea where they wanted to base it.
Right. So, depending on what else they do, I do find it ironic that it's called Star Trek Discovery,
right?
Which it seems like this show is set to be the least explorative type Star Trek show we've had. So I felt like a lot of this was wasted. I don't know if this needed to be 2 different episodes, maybe a long 90-minute episode. It was all fun and cool. It doesn't quite feel like it's part of the Prime universe,
right?
It is too flashy. The tech isn't where it should be. They did tone it down from that initial trailer that we saw, which was good. The other thing, a lot of that had to do with the style of the director of the first episode. You've not seen the second episode yet.
Right.
It definitely tones down a bit. It does get a bit more of a Star Trek feel. I don't know. I guess it depends on how it does it, because we've got the rest of the season to look at here, and so I mean we've got a couple of the characters we're going to get introduced on, which what I'm assuming is going to be the rest of the main cast coming up. There's potential here, and I think that's the biggest thing that I came away from this that I didn't even feel when I started. I came into this thinking, man, I saw this trailer and this looked really bad. This looked like it was going in the wrong direction. This is the direction we've been seeing with the new Star Trek movies, which is okay. They're movies. They're a different they're a different thing altogether. But it looks like this TV show is trying to imitate that. I think they were pretty careless with, like I said, I don't like how Klingons look. I really don't like where the tech is, because we know where the tech is at this point, and it's not matching. And, me even being a casual fan, I don't like that. One of the things I liked about Enterprise, which there wasn't a lot, and I tried sticking in with that show. I made it through about half of season 3, and then I just dropped watching it, was that, especially coming from the Next Generation, which is the furthest we've been in the timeline for them, which is that tech was pretty crazy. Tech was pretty
Oh
crazy
yeah.
for Voyager. And then we went to Enterprise. Like, they don't even have regular shields yet.
No.
And it was interesting watching the struggles of that crew with that tech. And that, I mean, that's one of the things that, at least for me, I've really enjoyed. You know, where things are in this timeline. A lot of it is identified by the tech that they have at the time. And I mean, I wasn't expecting things to look like the original Star Trek. I don't think anybody wants that.
No.
Um,
No.
but yeah, the uniforms are kind of on par. It's kind of ironic that everyone's wearing kind of bluish uniforms where they're all a bunch of red shirts, really, because they all get their asses kicked by the end of it. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna watch more, which I was not expecting.
Yeah.
Coming into this, I'm like, all right,
Same.
we'll watch the pilot, and I'll probably have everything reaffirmed as to what I thought. And no, there's actually potential. This was a good pilot. There's potential here,
Oh yeah.
and I think the next 4 or 5 episodes are really going to tell the tale. Now, I guess the big question I have: do you think we can have a focus on wartime Star Trek show? Do you think that can be successful?
Hmm. Traditionally, whenever there's been a saga like that in Star Trek, it's been like maybe like a multi-episode run, but it's always concluded somewhere within the series. It doesn't dominate the tone for the entire series. I'd say the closest I saw personally for anything like that happening were any of the Borg sagas, especially in Star Trek Next Generation. There were a couple of major Borg arcs, especially the Locutus arc for Picard, but those were balanced well. They didn't dominate Next Generation, but they echoed really well. They came back up where relevant. Heck, you could even reference this to Seven of Nine, with Janeway and Voyager. It's, again, more echoes of that. It really kept itself relevant without focusing on the war part of it. To be able to sustain that, though, in a Star Trek series, you risk running something along the lines of Battlestar Galactica or Babylon 5, which would be my concern. Star Trek has always been about a larger exploration, not just of, extra interstellar travel and things like that, but the way it always looked at social ills, societal norms, and stuff like that. If you give enough depth, I think, to the Klingons, their struggles, but besides the stuff we know about them, the stubbornness, the honor bound, the death before dishonor and everything, you give a lot of depth for that. You give depth to the crew. I think you can make a pretty long run out of it. I don't know about an entire series based off of that, though. I'm skeptical of that. I don't think that will work for Star Trek. But
Yeah, well, especially when we got to the last couple seasons of Voyager. I mean, a lot of it was Borg oriented. I
right,
mean, the series final ended with the major final battle with the Borg.
right,
But it certainly didn't stay there. I mean, even through the Next Generation in Deep Space Nine, I mean, they would have the episodes where they talked about, that they're at war, and sometimes it was easy to forget. That's right. That's right. They are at war. If it wasn't the Borg, I think it was also the Romulans.
right.
And this would pop up from time to time, but they were doing other things. This is obviously a different era. They've just gone into the war with the Klingons, and I think it's their first major war that Starfleet has.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, and I agree with you though. I don't know if we can do that. Plus, there's going to be a whole story arc
Yep.
with what's his name? Michael, or her name? Michael Klein? Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, hopefully I get the name right. Sonequa Martin Rainsford. It's probably Rainsford, not Rainsford. She's from The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Love her. She's a great actress.
Mm-hmm.
I knew as soon as I heard that she was going to be in the show, I'm like, yep, all right, they're killing her off. Which obviously they did. But she's a great actress. She did great here. That was one of the things that was a bit disjointed. I felt overall, it seemed like most of the cast understood they were in a Star Trek show, but the creators didn't.
I think that's something really important to comment on. As far as the deliverables we saw by the cast. And I mean, they did a solid job with that. I think for their roles and being within that universe, they're pretty bound and they understand that. And I thought it was convincing. The overall creative direction, though, as far as where we're sitting, that's different, and that seems to be at odds. And it's weird because usually it's the other way around. But
yeah, it did, and it felt really disjointed. It was kind of odd. But once we got into the whole scenario, these first 2 episodes, and what happens, so it's kind of, this is all kind of pretext to what's to come, which is okay. That's fine. But you know what? If you gave me a flavor on what the focus of this season's going to be, or this series, okay, that's one thing. But if they could have easily just wasted everybody's time for these first 2 episodes if they really take a sharp turn at this point. It's like, all right, now we're about Star Trek. Right. Now we're about exploration. It's like, well, what was this first 2 episodes? What was that shit?
It really depends how this all is supposed to set up the framework, the show at large. And
right.
This is either going to crash it or it's going to boost it. So, but
we're gonna get a couple. Well, we're gonna get a lot of new story arcs. We're gonna get a wartime arc. It looks like we're gonna get the main character is branded a traitor.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that. That's gonna bring a lot. We're gonna get the storyline where the captain is supposed to be a real asshole and it makes a lot of bad decisions. That's something we've not ever seen.
No.
Everything's always been the focus of the captain and being that leader and becoming a better captain. And it looks like we're gonna get an arc where this guy just sucks.
Yep.
This is all interesting stuff, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing it. But I don't know if this all works at one time.
Yeah, it's a little baffling. What they'll have set up, but hey, worth a shot. I'll definitely look at this from afar a little more. I know I will continue to support bald Klingons. Right now, at least. I'm okay with them.
I'm really not a fan.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to look like Worf, but because he always looked a bit too. He always looked a bit too Starfleet for a Klingon. I thought he should have been a bit more jagged, a bit more rugged than he came off, knowing what I knew about Klingons, which they would even showcase in the shows he was on too. When you'd see other Klingons, like, wow, this guy just it feels like, even though they would do plenty of episodes with him trying to stay attached to his culture, it's like, yeah, dude, you're just kind of missing the mark here, I think. Yeah. I mean, am I wrong?
No, I don't think you are.
I don't, it was always one of the more compelling things where they talk about shows that would have story arcs with Worf and interacting with Klingons, and how Klingons would constantly say that you're not really a Klingon, you're not really a part of our culture, and you're always just kind of like, yeah, they're kind of right.
Right.
You're kind of not.
Right.
you kind of lost your way here. But I'm not a huge fan of this yet. Everything with the Klingons, I don't. Yeah, we'll see. It looks like I'm going to get all the time I want or need to get attached to it, if I ever will. Yeah, no. So here's the big question that I have.
Yeah.
Are you gonna purchase All Access? Are you gonna watch it through All Access?
No.
No, I'm not either for this season. I'm gonna watch this season. I'm gonna be naughty for this season and find other outlets to watch it. But if they can win me over, I'll start giving them $6 a month for next season.
Fair enough. I think that's fair. I mean, Star Trek has always held its own in sort of like the pantheon of like big sci-fi shows, epics. And I found the series that really get on a roll. They're compelling. You want to keep up with them. I mean, I know once I got hooked to Next Generation, I just pretty much stuck through that with its entirety. That's probably one of the first shows I really followed dedicated. The same goes for others. I didn't like Voyager as much, but as a series, I thought it was still pretty solid.
Loved Voyager. Voyager was the stuff. Hey, I give the Next Generation its props for what it is and what the importance that it had for the franchise and for TV in general. But Voyager was my stuff.
My only thing was Janeway how often she jumped ship. That was wild, man.
Yeah, but dude, it's 7 and 9.
Okay, enough said.
Yeah,
enough said.
Oh, No, I
Uh,
loved Voyager. Voyager. I mean, more than any of the others. I mean, I watched the Next Generation because I spent a long time back then I spent a long time without much cable, and Next Generation was like in syndication. I'm pretty sure they only made like $5 an episode
yeah.
because everybody's running that shit. Everybody was running Next Generation. So I caught plenty of that. Especially living on. I spent years living on a farm, so that was on all the time, right after the news. Unless it was NBC. It was NBC, then they were playing Saturday Night Live, but everybody else was playing Star Trek: The Next Generation after the news. So, I caught all that stuff all the time. But, Voyager was as well for a while, but then CW happened, and so they took them over as well as it still being in syndication. They took it over as a regular show, part of their lineup. I'm all over the place here. That's all right. That's all right. It's kind of in context because now we're talking about because Star Trek has kind of been with the the mainstream or the evolution of TV content. Talking about where the show started and being a significant show for its time being on broadcast television, and then Next Generation being in syndication, and then
Right.
Here we are now with it being streaming. But also only releasing episodes out, I think, weekly, which is new for streaming.
It is.
It's not it's not scratching new ground, obviously, but I was a little shocked. It's like they only did come out with this right now. They're not going to come out with all the rest of it right away.
Right.
I was a little shocked by that. And so there's a lot of new stuff here, but if the show is good enough. Next season, I'll give them $6 a month.
Fair enough.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. If it follows along the epic lines of some of the Star Trek series I've really gotten to, I'll gladly follow it, man. I mean, that's something I've been missing for a long time, and heck, that's saying a lot for me. This is talking to a guy. I really just don't follow stuff until I started doing this. Honestly, doing what we do here. From the talk about Netflix and everything, you kind of got me back in following series, but I'm not a TV guy. I'm just not. And for me to sub to something to watch a show, that's saying a lot. But it's still an if. It's still an if.
No.
So.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll follow this. We're not going to review it. I don't think we're going to do regular reviews on this, but we will be following along. Let us know what you think. Comment, email, all that stuff. Now, one thing that did not change expectations on the other show we were reviewing this week, Inhumans.
Yeah.
What happened here?
Please don't expect any curveballs or any positive to come out of nowhere, because this really stuck along the track that we were looking at.
My God.
I could not get into this. I couldn't.
Okay, you know what? Here's the thing. This actually, watching this, I saw the foundation for potential.
Right.
I'll say that, which is more than what I could come away with from any of the trailers or anything else I had seen or heard about this show.
Totally.
It looks like they had the foundation for some good groundwork here, and then it's like, I know I had heard the production was really rushed, which it shouldn't have been.
Right.
They'd been wanting to turn this into a movie and then a TV show for a while. There was a couple years that this thing had been floating around for getting put on screen for a while. There should have been. This is a prime example of production just sloppy, just bad.
Just slam right through the pipeline. The scene, I actually even chuckled right at the start. I think that was that mutant Triton, or not Triton. I was not Triton. Gosh, Triton.
Triton. Who cares?
Yeah, I was.
They don't have the production money to keep going with his makeup. That's
No.
way too much anyway. So.
Yeah, he's out. He's out early. But the fact that his first 5 to 10 seconds on screen just boom spills the beans about the entirety of everything in one quick summary. I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be a ride. There's nothing left of the imagination here. just that even that like that short introduction sort of cheapened it for me. Even I'm not even going into the rest yet, but
Well, see, now that didn't totally do it for me because I've been watching Agent of Shield for 4 seasons now, and I'm used to some really hokey, corny stuff from time to time. It's unfortunate. It's just it's what ABC production is sometimes. They don't get it. A lot of people watch Agents of Shield despite this stuff. It's just become something that you have to deal with. So I was okay with that. I will tell you where I lost it
all right.
because I'm. Oh my god, it was so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. When Maximus is shaving Medusa's hair.
I was, dude, I was
That
actually
was so bad.
I was
That was like
I was thinking about you during
college
that scene.
film bad. That was no. Because I don't even know because I mean I went to school. I was a major in video production. I in college I could have done better than that. That was so. I'm like, are you serious? You are literally taking that wigged hair and just sprinkling it down her face and catching that. Oh, it's so bad. It's like you're shaving her head, but you can clearly see you haven't shaved shit. But all this hair is all over, and it's very artsy and symbolic. It's garbage. Every bit of it. It's just bad. It's so bad, and just the. It's so bad. Some of the cast I don't understand. Now we've talked about this before. I'm not a huge Inhumans fan. I know who Black Bolt is. I know who Medusa is. I knew about the dog. I don't know about the rest of these characters, so I can't speak from like where we normally do, where we have some kind of context as far as being fans of this.
Right.
We don't. I don't think either one of us has that.
No.
So pros and cons to that. We're looking at this with a clean slate. I mean, I don't care that Black Bolt isn't in a full costume. His costume is okay. I'm not a big fan of this actor. He's not giving me the facial expressions that I think. He's got grumpy down. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not. He's not speaking with his facial expressions like he should be for a man who will destroy the earth if he talks, which is how powerful he is. Which,
Right.
by the way, one of the few cool parts is when he does talk to his parents, says one word, and then they're gone. I mean, they're not even like a bloody mess. They're like vaporized on the wall. That was kind of cool. That was a good expression of how powerful he is.
It instantly gave you a good gauge. And I think that's really important in not just like superhero films, things like that, but the audience needs some sort of like some comparison point. Putting those rulers in the middle of the yard, or like those markers, really really helps. And I mean that's awesome. If you're wondering what's a power set like, seeing a glimpse like that, and then you start thinking, oh Lord, what if he really actually fully speaks and goes into
right?
something?
What if he stubbed his toe? He would just blocks miles for miles, just destroyed. He stubbed his toe. I'm a little surprised they don't like have something over his mouth so that he can't accidentally destroy the world.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, props to the guy for sheer control, but what happens? You have a nightmare. You groan in your sleep. Whoop! So much for that building.
Right. I mean, this is the guy who in the comics his inhuman ability has taken down people like Thanos and the Hulk. That's how powerful his inhuman ability is. It's immense, and I'm glad they showed that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the actor though, and of course when they were talking about when Inhumans was going to be a movie, Vin Diesel was always talking about being the actor for that, and that probably would have worked. And obviously he's not going to do that for TV, and he's Groot anyways. So, also again when they're shaving Medusa's hair, for somebody who can control her hair like as a part of her body, well, which it obviously is a part of her body, I would have thought that would have been immensely painful. I mean,
Yeah.
were you thinking that too?
Yeah. I mean that's almost
I
like
mean, she's obviously upset about it, but she's just kind of like, well, I can't do nothing about it.
oh well. I mean,
So
I
I'm
would
just
have
gonna
thought that would be as painful as like severing like nerves or something. I mean,
right. I thought we were gonna see a very dramatic scene. Instead, it was like the worst part of the whole freaking thing. It's so bad. The actor who plays Maximus needs to go back to Starbucks. I can't stand that guy.
yeah.
Can't stand him. That guy's so horrible. It's like it literally looks like they pulled somebody out of a Starbucks and just like, all right, you're gonna do this. No, keep your hair. Keep your hair the way it is. That's fine. Facial hair and everything. We're just put this on. It was and the dog was cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Dog's kind of OP.
What was his name? Farouk or something? The big guy who can like make the ground shake and stuff. He was all right.
Yeah, with the hooves. Karnak.
Was it Karnak? Farouk was a wrestler. I don't know.
Oh no. Oh, not the leader of the guard corps. The guy you're talking about. The one that pops to mind for me was the Asian fella Karnak who has the foresight abilities.
That was cool too. When you first see that, he dies, and it's like, whoa, they killed that guy, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at what he's doing.
See, and you were talking about foundations. I want to put that in the good side here for where you can see potential. Like he has a really cool power set, and heck, I mean, you know, I remember I saw that scene. And I just read a little bit about his background and stuff. I mean, I think back in comics, he was one of the few that actually, by sheer force of will and studying, willed himself into like his current skill set to manifest it. It didn't just come. It didn't all come to him as easily. So with him, I guess at least seeming having some of the most control over his abilities and like knowledge of it, that's just awesome. And it made me wonder too. How far forward can he see?
I
does
think
he have
pretty
a limit
far.
on that?
I mean, you remember that one part of the first episode where he's talking about how everything's going to end in a dark black mass that's going to be consumed from the universe. I think he can see pretty far ahead.
Yeah, you know, and then even when he was what was it, the servant who was like pouring their drink was making an overture at him, like flirting, and he basically just did a compliment and a diss at once. He's like, you know, the other day I'm sitting here captivated by you, but then I look at your dependence issues, your neediness, and everything else that's just ended in a disaster. So
yeah. He's like, I think he said by day 2.5 he's going to want to kill her, or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, I don't. Yeah.
Real quick too.
Go ahead.
No. Plot wise, too, this whole thing that centers around the coup, the insurrection, bringing the whole population issue, bringing everyone to Earth. That I'm just I was not convinced with the whole intrigue, the palace intrigue deal.
No, it felt very forced,
and very, very hastily set up. You know, most of the time, those really interesting scenes when you have a switch with someone you'd followed quite a while, you knew that they were very loyal, or if there'd be some really weird reason for them changing sides all of a sudden. But we don't have any of that as context. It's sort of, well, I guess everybody was just thinking the same thing. Okay, everybody hop aboard. Yeah,
well, you know why, right?
What?
Because who the hell would want this place? It looks like it came right out of IKEA. Here's your Space Fortress IKEA set. There it is, all of it.
Oh,
and what didn't look like it came from IKEA looked like it came from some local Wicca shop. like the chambers they went into to get their Inhuman powers. Like,
right.
I saw that at the Bed Bath and Beyond. That's that same thing.
Oh man.
No, it's just the production was. But seriously, that part of me is like, if I was blackballed, I would have been like, fuck, take this. Me and my guys, we're gonna take teleporting dog. We're gonna go hang out somewhere else.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, I hear that, but this is one I'm not going to be following.
I'm going to follow this season, and I think that this season is going to be the end of it.
Yeah.
I will probably binge this because we've got a lot coming up here at the end of this year, starting next week, and I will probably binge this when all of it's out, and I'll let you know. I don't know. I would say that this should be a one and done this season. I don't think it's going to be, and that's going to kind of lead into the next story. But overall, let's give this some kind of review. We'll do 1 out of 5s. Star Trek Discovery 1 out of 5 for the first 2 episodes.
For first 2 apps where we're standing, I'm surprisingly hopeful in this one. I'm gonna give this a 3.8.
3.8. What did you come in thinking it was going to be?
Oh man, 2.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I was
no
thinking
greater than that. Yeah.
somewhere between 1 and 2 for me. Yeah, I was expecting to find some uh, overly, cheaply produced special effects and a bunch of fluff without much context, and that might still be what it is. But
Could be.
there was enough here to keep me interested. I'm sitting at a solid 3. I was going to grade this a D or an F, but I'm sitting at a C.
Yeah.
With a wait and see on the rest of it. That my grade could end up higher for this season as we go along. Inhumans, I was looking at F, and I'm sticking with F. This is shit.
Yep. What's the lowest on our scale? 1 out of 5? 1. Yeah. No
Dude,
thanks.
I have never seen. Rarely, I cannot think of anything where something was just so hinging on the name that it comes from, which
Yeah.
is Marvel.
Yeah.
And that is the only saving grace to this show right now, is that Marvel will hopefully either say cut this shit loose or pump some money in it and get it right for next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this was just bad. This is, part of me is wondering, the small conspiracy theorist of me is wondering, maybe they tanked this on purpose because Marvel needed a flop. It needed a really big flop. I mean, even their worst movies like Iron Man 2 and Thor and Thor 2 are still really good in some ways.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, sometimes you take a dive, and because you got to get it out there. So I don't know. This is too much of a disaster for me to think that someone did this on purpose.
Never mind. It's like that can't be.
This can't all be intentional.
No.
No, but this is bad. This is bad. Shame on you, Marvel.
Train wreck.
By the way, the showrunner for this, same showrunner for Iron Man, I believe he is not being brought back after this. So I think I think he's done. Jeez, just
Ugh.
yeah. So here's why, I would have said that this is, in fact, there was rumors saying that this was canceled. This is it. This is all we're gonna get. I don't know.
Yeah.
And part of that has to do with the next piece of news that we got. It was official. Somebody came out and actually said, I forget where it was at. I apologize for that. It was brought up in an interview that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to have its 5th season because Disney intervened and stopped ABC from canceling it. There was rumors at the first half of season 4 that this was going to be it. In fact, I remember talking to because my oldest brother and my niece and nephew, his kids they watch all things MCU. They follow this whole universe. When I come and visit, they love talking to me about it and what I think of this and what I think of that. It's a fun thing, and quite frankly, this is what a lot of families do with Marvel. It's part of what makes it so popular. So they're all caught up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. I gave them some things, gave them some hints to watch on. Because season 4 was pretty cool. Ghost Rider being the biggest highlight. Phil Coulson, still awesome.
Cool.
Coulson's great. But they were talking about ABC has done this show wrong since pretty much the beginning. And the first 2 seasons were a mishmash of, especially the first season, was very much villain of the week and trying to intertwine itself with the greater MCU as much as they could, when you restrict the fact that the MCU characters, the movie characters, aren't supposed to know that Phil Coulson is even alive.
Right.
They they did okay, and you saw some of that in season 2 as well. They really put an end to this with Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron, and they've really gone into their own route. But you know, the problems have continued, especially in season 3. One of the biggest blunders that they've done, and I think I've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to do a spin-off, and they take 2 of the more popular characters at the time, one of which is the only frickin' superhero and Avenger they've got on the show regularly, Mockingbird, who's on every week. It's pretty cool. They've got an Avenger who normally works with S.H.I.E.L.D. too, so it made sense. And they basically take her and someone she works with who they used to have a relationship. I think they used to be married. He's a brand new character. I don't think he's really out of the comics. And they're going to give them a spin-off. So they take these 2 hugely popular characters, take them off the show. They set up the spin-off, and it doesn't even happen.
Dadgum.
Doesn't even happen. That is ridiculous. You take your only superhero, your only Avenger that you have on the show, and you just lose them. Just lose them.
Wow. Man.
I still laugh about it. It's so fucked up.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I always heard some.
We're going to give you your own show. You're going to run this. You're going to do this. You just see the conversation. Like, all right, hey, everyone loves this, and then they're just gone, never to be seen again. Your only regular superhero, your only Avenger, gone.
Gosh.
Doing Mockingbird's doing great in the comics, by the way. Really enjoyed her, which I never was a big fan before, and she's been in Spider-Man a lot, and I've really enjoyed that. She played a fairly big role, at least in comparison to all the superheroes that were in Secret Empire. She had a notable role in Secret Empire. So yeah, so even more, he's like, hey, she's getting a big push too.
Hardcore.
It's so odd. But this is ABC. This is what ABC does.
Right.
And you know, when we were talking the other day about, hey, where can we catch these shows? And I'm like, geez, I guess I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I catch that on demand. Besides that, I haven't watched a show on ABC since Lost.
Man.
And I never catch Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it comes out. I never catch it on time. I always binge it. I binge it on demand, and which wasn't on Inhumans, not on demand. I'm sure you noticed that. Couldn't catch it there.
I did.
Kind of surprising. Maybe that has something to do with the IMAX deal. I don't know, but yeah. But this show has just. But there's always it's like you can see executive producers just butting heads. It's like you've got some guys who have some really good ideas, and you have some people who have some really stupid, shitty ideas, and they just like constantly fighting to get their ideas on.
Yeah,
and it's just. And then season 4 was cool. You had I forget what they call them. What are the androids called in the Marvel universe?
I was thinking Skrulls for a second. No, that's not right.
No, that's shapeshifters. But there were some aliens.
Mm-hmm.
There was Ghost Rider. Who did awesome stuff. Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, which was awesome. Phil Coulson becomes Ghost Rider for a bit at the end, which was pretty cool, and
Sweet.
that's had a lasting effect on him, which we'll see more of, I think. At this point, Phil Coulson's been through everything. He's died.
Yeah.
He's lost his hand. He's had alien DNA in him now. He's turned into Ghost Rider. He's like a superhero whore. It's crazy. But no, it's been fun. There's been some good stuff. But they were going to cancel it, and I'm sorry, I'm all over here on this. They were going to cancel it, and I had even heard that they were going to cancel, but they obviously haven't. And that's because Disney, which is the parent company for ABC, is like, no, you're going to keep this. You're going to run this. You're going to run this at least one more season.
Nope.
Which I'm glad they did, because it's fun. It's especially last season was a lot of fun. Since they've decided hey, let's come into our own here. Oh, U.S. Agent. That's right. U.S. Agent was a big part of it this last season as well. You remember U.S. Agent, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the basically the Goldbot version of Captain America.
Right.
But it was you had Madam Hydra. She was in there as well. It was good stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, we're gonna get another season. Looks like we're gonna get Sword. I don't know. I don't know a lot about Sword. Do you know a lot about Sword?
I don't.
They're like they're kind of an offshoot version of Shield. You have Sword and Shield. Shield's all about defense, but Sword's all about offense. Yeah, so it looks like we're gonna get a lot of that. We're gonna get Agents of Shield in space. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad Disney said, hey, don't do that. Now I hope they also said, and you're gonna start doing some of this stuff right from this point on. But they might end up doing that with Inhumans now. I did not know that Disney interjects like that.
Same.
Why they didn't with that spin-off show, I don't know. But it looks like they're interjecting, and they're telling them because ABC does not run their shows very well. They've never, as a whole, they don't do great. A lot of their shows don't do great. They get shows like Lost every once in a while, and I think Grey's Anatomy's on there too, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they do huge, but most of their stuff does not do very well, and they just don't manage this stuff very well.
Right.
So I just talked a lot about that.
I say we got, come on, man, we got a couple of news pieces. But no, it's due though. I know I don't follow Agents of Shield, and neither have I seen Disney interject like this. But
well, it's the flagship TV show.
It is.
It is the first Marvel TV show, and that's important. And it's freaking Shield. It's Shield. You can't come up with compelling stories based on Shield.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too, especially with how much obscurity Nick Fury kind of fell into, after the events of the mainline films. It's wild. We went from Shield being really on top of the world to Shield sort of just not being.
There.
And
they even had Samuel L. Jackson made about half a dozen appearances on the show.
Yeah. See, I mean, yeah. So it still has relevance. That's not something.
And I hope it continues to. I hope they start, or not start. I hope they continue with the trend they started last season. I hope this shows around for a little while longer. But yeah, the fact that they were actually going to Axe, that came out, that was confirmed. It's like, yeah, we're going to cancel this. Disney intervened though, so that's interesting.
Cool.
Jeez. So, wow.
I'm going to flip these a little bit because since we're on such a Marvel kick. We've now one thing that's not obscure we're getting a ton of news on is another Thor Ragnarok teaser here.
Thor Ragnarok trailer 200.
Yeah. We've gone from starved for info in this to drowning in new info and trailer. Hey, honestly, after we had the whole 80s deal, that's all I needed. I really think we're doing fine to the release. I'm cool. I'm cool there, but
well, that was literally all rehashed stuff, I think, too.
Yeah,
the 80s trailer, that was pretty much all rehashed footage that we'd seen, but with a fun twist to it.
Right.
And yeah, so that was fun. But this had some new content. This is almost like Spider-Man, where it's like, all right, I really don't need to see any more now. I've seen enough from the trailers at this point. If I see one more, and you've got like another minute and a half in there, I've pretty much seen this movie.
Yeah. So, hopefully they cut that short. Leave the rest for us. We're gonna get the whole deal very soon.
Yeah, so, 1 month. 1 month.
Can't wait. Going right along with trailers, we got a brand new prequel short for Blade Runner 2049. It's called Blackout 2022, and to my surprise, this was an anime short.
Anime, my favorite.
Animu.
Animu? Is that what?
Yeah,
is that what you said?
That's sorry. It's like weeb speak. I'm bad, man.
I don't.
But no, yeah.
I don't know what to do with that. Animu? Was it Animu or Anabu?
Animu.
Animu. It wasn't okay. As in Animu.
Just right. Total. That's just the screw around term.
Animu.
Moo.
This was fun. This obviously had some anime style in it, but no, this is good. This was good anime, people. If you're like me and you don't like most anime because the production value is shit, this was not low production.
Yeah, I was a little concerned right off the bat because I couldn't really tell stylistically what they wanted to do with this, but no, it's solid. They had good variation. In fact, this sort of reminds me of what the Matrix did for Animatrix.
Yeah, they definitely in that vine.
Yeah, it's got an offshoot of that, and I'm totally cool with that. The other good thing that I think they balance well, even though you only saw it in some parts, the portions that did use CG, they fit. They're fine. You're seeing this in a lot of anime today, and there's some where it clashes terribly. I think a good example is Berserk. That effect does not come across well, and it's this weird mesh, and then sometimes things that were supposed to be 2D go 3D, and then backward. It's messy. But no, this was solid. This is a cool piece.
I was with it. I was like, all right. But then when they started getting into the fighting near the end, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this looks nice.
Yeah,
They
no,
did
it's smooth.
well on this. Yeah.
With good choreography and all that good stuff. So, all right.
So, what do you think? We've had the 3 shorts now. Do you think that this has laid down plenty of context for the movie, which comes out this week, the 6th?
I'd say so. And I think it did so in a way without just flat out ruining everything.
Right. Well, and I think I enjoyed this one the most because it's the closest to the original, which is just a few years later. And so a lot of this seemed a lot more relevant to me as far as what's going on. I could follow it a bit more.
Right.
I'm hoping that the movie does for that, for the other 2 prequel shorts that we saw.
Right. So no, this is a great build-in and setup. And another reason I think it's important to put Animatrix in frame here. What that did for prequel, and even like stories that you didn't see before, this is doing something I think similar, but all timed directly in the main line. We don't really have the grounds for the quote-unquote unseen stories and stuff yet, but cool, and well done.
Well, and it's you bring up 2 things I want to talk about real quick.
Mm-hmm.
First, we got to see that Dave Bautista's character has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They did show him very quickly. I think they showed like a quick status of his character. So he's been around for a while. We got to find that part out. But now getting back to the Animatrix, part 1 and part 2 of the history that they did for that, didn't that just make you want to see that movie?
Yes, it did.
Jeez, that was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the shit out of that.
That was so well done. I mean,
maybe that's what they'll make. I doubt it, but
yeah, there's been that talk, of course. I doubt it too. But that's the kind of content you need that really pulls you into a larger universe. That's awesome. Stuff that isn't just some weird cheap spinoff. So good stuff. All right. Coming out of our movie and show deluge, we've got some gaming news. Cuphead just launched. We've talked about this one a lot here in the show. I'm definitely going to be picking this up as soon as I can. I'm a little busy this weekend. I don't think even if I picked it up, I'd really be able to play today. But the reviews have been pretty solid for this one. This is something Microsoft's been hoping to gain some headwind off of. Again, if there's any confusion, no, this isn't coming out on PS4. This is PCs, Xbone, and the Windows Online Store. In fact, Microsoft is pushing this as part of the Xbox Play Anywhere program. You can pick it up right off the Windows Online Store for $20, and that'll give you access via both PC and Xbox. If people pick up the game on Steam, they will not be able to play it on an Xbox One. So, regardless of where you pick it up, this looks super fun. I even got a my dad travels a lot with this line of work, but I even got a call from him. He was saying, I really want to play this. It was a shock to me. He's been out of gaming for a number of years, but he keeps up with some stuff from afar, like Halo and everything. And I was shocked to hear him even interested in a side scroller. So
what do you think? Do you think that they will take sales of the version that is for both PC and Xbox? Do you think that they will point that at, hey, look at how good this is doing for the Xbox? Do you think so?
Knowing Microsoft's track record, I wouldn't be surprised. I've heard a lot of little embellishments throughout E3s over the years and stuff like that. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, because it's through the same funnel. I mean, Microsoft have a slightly different setup. They marry that PC side of things so closely to Xbox, and then you start talking about how do you divide those streams of revenue. I'm not too sure where in their figures they draw those lines, if they do.
I bet you they'll say that, but they can tell how many of these copies have been bought and where they've been installed. They can tell that, and I doubt that they'll ever give that information out.
Probably not. But
just I'm not the biggest Xbox fan, but I am going to get this game
for sure.
But definitely for PC.
Yeah, we'll both be checking this one out. I may as well too. Probably on Steam, to be honest. So, and I'll go from there. On bad gaming news, more at least in my opinion, terrible decisions from Nintendo.
What?
In your opinion too? No, I say it because I know you love Nintendo's decision.
Nintendo
Chris.
does no wrong.
No.
Have you gotten your copy of the SNES?
Man, I have struggled to order that constantly, and you know what? They're doing the right thing.
What? Who's doing the right thing?
Nintendo have done an incredible job with the distribution on this. So I cannot fault them.
All 10 copies.
Yeah.
All 10.
Yeah. Oh,
it actually annoys the piss out of me because when the NES Mini came out and everybody was reviewing it, you're just like, oh god, I can't wait to get one of these. And then it's like, well, you never will. Sorry, fucker, out of luck. But we know that this time.
Yep.
But still, everybody's still reviewing it, and this time it's just pissing me off. I'm seeing all these reviews for it. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You can take it. You know what you can do with that SNES when you're done reviewing it? I can tell you, you'll have to see a doctor after.
You and The Rock got something in common with shining something up real nice.
See, no, seriously though, it's just like I'm surprised. I'm surprised people are reviewing it because like you're not helping anyone. You're just kind of ticking them off. I mean, you're just kind of like, look what I got. It's like, get out of here. Because I genuinely think people weren't doing that the last time with the NES Mini. I think they were reviewing is like, here, this is because there were still some questions as far as how this is going to be, how it was going to run, and I think people were just genuinely doing reviews like pick one of these up as soon as you can, not knowing you never will. But now they know.
Oh yeah, for sure, right, for sure. But hey, you've almost torn all the meat off that bone. So I need you to stop chewing on that bone a second. I'm going to give you some new red meat. All right, ready? Here we go. The Nintendo Creators Program, this launched in 2015. This was for YouTube specifically. So before this program existed, a lot of you out there who do streaming, of course, I'm sure you knew about this. Before this even came out, Nintendo copyrighted games when they were on stream. All revenues for those went straight to Nintendo. Streamers didn't get a cut of that. This program launched to allow streamers to get a cut of that once they stream Nintendo content, but Nintendo put the ban on it this week that you cannot stream Nintendo copyrighted content on. It's banned from YouTube streaming now, and their official statement on the matter was, "We've updated the Nintendo Creators Program user guide with information on how revenue generated through live stream broadcasts on YouTube will be handled. Live streaming on YouTube falls outside the scope of the Nintendo Creators Program. This means that you cannot broadcast content on YouTube live from the account you've registered to the Nintendo Creators Program." Now, look, anyone who's already on Twitch or maybe you play Smash Brothers or tournaments or whatever else, you're not probably not going to pay a whole lot of attention to that. But it's this is just once again baffling. And I mean, this is just talking to someone who looks at this stuff from afar at Nintendo. The very thing that you start on said platform is the thing you want to cut off at the knees. And I know YouTube is trying to get a piece of the Twitch pie. They really want to get the part of that YouTube streaming up, sort of to where Twitch is, which is miles ahead at the moment. But this doesn't like a good way to do it. So,
no, I wasn't going to talk about this, but since this is part of the news, we are doing our first Let's Play. We are in the middle of producing it right now, which is not going to be streamed. It's not live. But we were already talking about our first live stream that we're going to be doing in the future here, which, well, it wasn't going to be Nintendo anyways, but I guess we don't have a fucking choice. So, but that being said, one of the things that when we were talking about the list of games we wanted to do, what for me was Bubble Bobble.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to, because I played that when I was a kid. I played that. That was so much fun playing with my brother, and I played that on the original NES, and that was so much fun doing a co-op. This is, when we were talking about this, is back when we thought we were going to be able to get our hands on NES minis, and even though you can't play online with that, we're like, oh, geez, you can play it there, and we'll emulate it or something, and we'll stream it. Yeah, just
Dun-up-up-up-up.
Nintendo, I swear, and thankfully, you and I, we've talked about this. I've talked to other friends about this as well. We're not the only ones who think that, it seems like they're killing their business on purpose. There's somebody over there who just does not understand how business works now and how it's evolved.
No. And there's this kind of extant paranoia that exists about what's going to happen to our IP. What is this new service
Nothing,
mean for
including purchases,
right,
if you keep this up.
So who
whatever.
knows?
Whatever. They're so obscure at this point. I'm waiting to see the latest Legend of Zelda on the PlayStation 5.
At this rate, you will.
Yeah, And now remember, I called that a long time ago too, and you laughed at me.
Yeah, but it's become impossible. Yeah,
you're gonna see Mario Brothers on PlayStation. You're gonna.
Reminds me of Sega's fall. But all right, man.
Oh, and you play Sonic on PlayStation?
Hey,
don't you?
I am. There was a time where the Sega hype machine was like, we can't be stopped, and then Dreamcast is like, we're stepping out. We got this new system and dead. Never mind.
It was surreal. I remember it was surreal when I
was.
saw a magazine ad for a Sonic game that was going to come out on all the systems, and it was like, whoa! It was kind of mind blowing.
No, I agree. So, is what it is.
Nintendo sucks.
Yeah, their marketing is blah. I don't get it, man.
Their decision making is just ridiculous.
It's odd. But all right, on our last piece of gaming news, this was from Bamco, Bandai/Namco.
Now here's a company that puts out their iconic character like a dirty whore, and I'm fine with it. This is one of my personal favorites.
This is pretty good. Bamco is partnering with Gamblit Gaming to adapt Pac-Man for casinos. So if you ever had that dream about spending your savings, at more high stakes, maybe Pac-Man in a casino environment, well, here you go. Here's your shot to do it. We already know the original Pac-Man, especially if you played the arcade version, could be a quarter gobbler, but you're gonna it could be a lot more than quarters. What we're talking about here. I think for what they're trying to set up for this, it's called Pac-Man Battle Casino. And it's kind of similar to like a Pac-Man Battle Royale, like the 4-player competitive Pac-Man arcade game. I think this was out in 2011. But yeah, the idea of this is each player has to put down a minimum bet to play. So he said that I could range between $2, $20, something more than a quarter. But the idea that you're placing your bets beforehand, not during the game, that throws the hype up in the air a bit more, livens the stakes, and maybe gives you a little bit more per round. So people have always poked at this, the nexus between gaming and, gaming, casino gaming, and here you go.
Yeah. I'm not much of a gambler, so
I never. I've only been to Vegas once. Didn't gamble while I was there. I was too busy eating good food.
Not at all.
I didn't gamble at all. No.
You didn't gamble one bit?
Nope.
You didn't even wow.
Not a slot. Not nothing, man.
I mean, if I go to a place that has a casino, I will gamble a little. But I mean, you were in Vegas and you didn't spend a dime?
I didn't.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I spent, but I was okay. To be fair, I was there for a kind of nerdy reason anyway. It was the what was it? The FF14 fan festival.
Oh my god.
Hey,
each their own.
hey! Yeah, it's true. It's true. You know, it's a good time. Chef Gordon Ramsay's restaurant was chill. Lots of good sights from the Bellagio to everywhere else to kicking food. Um,
So you did enjoy
yes,
some of what Las Vegas had.
for sure, for sure.
Okay.
I toured. I mean, I was only there for like maybe a day and a half or so. I didn't get to see everything, but I crammed everything I could within that time. On top of being there for a gaming con. So
But you don't live by the saying what you do in Vegas stays in Vegas because you didn't do anything worth talking about.
it depends who you define what we're talking about. But go ahead.
Pac-Man betting though sounds like, I mean, is it the regular Pac-Man board? Is it just regular Pac-Man and people bet?
No, so if you ever looked at the Pac-Man 2011 arcade setup, like the Battle Royale thing, that's kind of what this is going to be set up like.
Oh, okay.
If you go and take some, I never played it, but if you go and take some screenies of that, yeah, that's
Yeah, I have not either.
like
Although
there's.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, I was saying like there's like these four like consoles and like they all link up to like a main like monitor and all that, so it gives this whole multiplayer versus feel to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pac-Man, as far as the phone app, actually, the original Pac-Man, the classic Pac-Man game, they actually were doing a lot of cool new stuff with that. I had that on my phone for a while, a couple phones back actually. I love the old classic games. That and Tetris. It was all about Pac-Man and Tetris for quite a while. But they were coming out with new boards. They were doing all these things to try to get you to spend a little bit of money. Interesting stuff though. I mean, it was being supported. It wasn't just like here's the old Pac-Man. Bleh. Just play that. They were actually doing a lot to support it, doing a lot of freebie stuff. So I got to play a bunch of new stuff. And I mean, this was out by Namco, so now apparently they've taken that to the next level. So yeah, why not? If people want to bet money on Pac-Man, more power to
So
you.
be it. So be it.
But apparently Ian won't
Nope.
ever, even though he's there for a game convention. Can't even bet on Pac-Man.
Well, we'll see. Hey, if it's set up next time, I'll look at it. Seriously, I will. It is.
That sounds kind of cool, though. Actually, it's like kind of going to a battle royale. Everybody puts down the money, and kind of like Pac-Man for Thunderdome.
That's the idea.
I like that.
Oh, it's cool. I think that'd be fun. You just grab 3 or 4 of your friends and say, "Hey, get over here, play this." Cool. Well, that's it for our regular news. It's time for an info minute. All right. As for everybody who is into Uber, or I don't know, maybe you're not into Uber.
Oh boy, here we go.
Be really careful over the surge rate. This is something that's been hitting quite a few people, not just over in the Chicago area, but really all around nationally. I want to just zoom in on a story from a little earlier this week. There was a customer who actually called into Chicago's ABC7, said she's relatively new to using Uber and didn't realize that the 100-mile ride that she took home back from a concert was going to be charged at a sky-high surge rate. This ride would normally be about $117, but shot up to $925. By the time she got where she was going, she says she reached out to Uber through the app, but it wasn't resolved until later. And basically, Uber said, "Hey, look, you need to be putting your destinations in like beforehand when you get drivers, not adding on. When you do those add-ons, that's what creates it." So Uber called this situation, her situation, a perfect storm. Again, partly the result of her changing her destination and then adding an airport stop after her car arrived. The statement Uber issued was, "We refunded the rider for the charges related to her ride, including the additional 93 miles she added to the trip," adding that the company encourages its riders to input every desired stop into the app up front to receive a correct fare estimate.
Okay. There's a lot here. There's a lot to unpack here. Now, have you ever used an Uber?
I have.
I have not, but I have researched and still contemplate becoming an Uber driver as a second job. I got a new car, which why would we ever talk about that? But I'm like, maybe help it pay for itself.
Right.
So because I have an SUV, it's a larger vehicle. It fits the qualifications. So I mean I'm just like maybe I'll do this. No, I've like seriously looked into how people get paid. How much of this is from Uber, how much of this is from the person being the Uber driver. I've researched this a fair bit, and my perspective is, why did they give her a dime back?
Right. Same. I mean, if you're, even if it's a part of like operator error, or you're like, oh wait, I didn't know, or whatever else. I mean, you can only feign that so long. The services they're expecting to, hey, put in where you want to go. Be clear about that. If you're modifying and changing it, it's a different story. Now, it's important to look at this because there was another surge situation that got backlash, but this was back in June during the hostage situation that happened in Sydney, Australia, and the attacks there, and people were saying that I'm sorry, no, not just back in June. It was even before that. This wasn't even back in 2017, but this is the last time I remember this issue happening. Basically, there was this hostage situation in Sydney, and then that translated into something that was playing out in London for the recent terror attacks. Basically, there were surge rates that were going into people that were trying to book Ubers to get to certain places on certain fares because there was an attack that happened near London Bridge, and there were a lot of complaints that said, hey, how dare you, cause a surge rate, in a desperate situation like this. Slightly different context, but
that's a bit different.
It's that, and plus, we're talking about the European market and things like that, so I can't put those two side by side. But no, I mean, I think you have a legit point here. With this lady, it's a little tricky to.
She just didn't pay attention to what she was doing.
Right.
She's like, oh, well, this is so much cheaper than a cab. Let's just go an extra 100 miles.
Right.
It's like, hey, that's his or her car,
right?
That's putting on that mileage and their time because they don't work shifts. They basically they work as much as they want. So you're adding another few hours onto their day that maybe they plan on working, maybe not. You're putting on a lot of mileage and wear and tear on their vehicle. Now, an extra 900. That's probably a little excessive.
Yeah, it was up there. I mean, the end fare was $925, and she was expecting, I think, like 117.
Okay, so an extra 800, let's say. That's a bit excessive, but at the same time, I mean, maybe they were really annoying. It sounds like they're really annoying.
It sounds like it.
I would have loved to have seen their face when they told them what it was.
Oh man.
That's awesome. So now the other situation you're talking about in London, that's obviously taking advantage of a horrible situation. U.S. actually has laws against that, which unfortunately are followed as much as they should be. Because even up here in Wisconsin, hold on, I didn't say that right. In Wisconsin, with all those hurricanes that happened and the effects that was going to have on gasoline, we've even seen too much of that. You're not supposed to be jacking up rates on stuff like that. When something like that happens, but it still kind of does. But something like that, that's justifiable as far as giving them money back and maybe doing something to that Uber driver for trying to jack up rates. But this is like, I don't know. I hope they didn't take that money back from the Uber driver. They probably did. The main reason I don't work for Uber ever is because I've heard that they treat their customers like crap, or not their customers, their drivers like crap.
Yeah, I've been hearing that too. I mean, they were under fire for quite a bit of controversy, I think, earlier this year, both for the driver issue and a few other things. And this just sounds like one of those issues they were looked at from a PR standpoint, or probably like, we don't want more on the slate. Let's just deal with this, get it out of the way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and just sort of buried it there. But oh well. I'll say this. I'll speak up for Uber. My one experience, I enjoyed it. I had a really chill driver. Just an open, friendly person. In fact, I was hopping a ride to where was I going? I was in Boston when I got it. And I was
gonna say, if you were in Vegas, that would have been awesome.
No, yeah, it would have been, yeah. But no, I was heading to the Boston airport, and I got my ride there. So no, it was chill, just right to the point, and no problem. In fact, It was even cooler because it was free. Because one of my friends I was rooming with was like, "Hey, I got this first time Uber user thing. You want to use it?" I'm like, "Yeah," and worked out, and I got a free ride.
There you go.
Pretty sweet.
That's yeah. That lady is dumb. That's what I got.
Good deal. But hey, get out of here, folks. Get out of here. Get out of here.
No, we can't actually. I told you, we can't actually end it like that.
I know I'm messing with you.
We pre-recorded the ending now.
Yeah.
You can't actually say, all right, get the fuck out of here now. We're done.
GTFO.
See you later.
No. All right, good deal. Thanks for tuning in, people.
All right. So, wait, hold on.
I'm holding.
Okay. All right. He's the one that does the recording, so I want to make sure. No, so, yeah, next week is a big week.
Yeah.
We got the Gifted. We're going to review that on the show. Mm-hmm. Blade Runner. We're going to be doing a special review show for that. Yeah. Okay, that's important. Stay tuned for next week.
Minorly. You don't want to leave a Shield style cliffhanger. Let's just not do another season.
That's right.
Don't want to give that impression. That's fair.
But now that said, now you can get the fuck out of here.
See you next time.
No. Yes. Yep. See you. See you next week.
Hey people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, or anything we go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great if you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, dig up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you again later. Take care.